Welcome to the fierce and fabulous duo. I'm Sandra Katina, and I'm here with my partner, Dr. Tony. Hello, Tony.
Hello, Sandra.
We've got an exciting show today. We've got our very first guest, Karen Lewis, and we've both been waiting for this interview. And I'd like to give a little introduction about Karen. Karen Lewis is an actor, dancer, and has performed in theater and television. She's a founding member of the Berkeley Repertory Theater. Karen is a second-degree black belt in Taekwondo. For years, Karen taught Taekwondo and playwriting. Karen was married to the late Al Lewis for 26 years. She and Al were strong social justice advocates and together hosted a radio show on WBAI. Karen worked at Eviction Intervention Services and served as the executive director there. A published author, Karen wrote her first book, I Married a Monster, My Life with Grandpa Al Lewis, a memoir. In 2025, Karen wrote and published her second book, Dancing with Snake. We are honored to present as our special guest today, Karen Lewis. Karen, you are a fascinating woman. We could interview you for months. Thank you for joining us today. Your first book, I have both of your books. I read them and they are awesome. Your first book, here it is, I Married a Monster. And your second book, Dancing with Snake, here we are. I read this book in a day and a half. It was absolutely enthralling. In your first book, you basically talked about your marriage to Al Lewis. And in this book, your second book, Dancing with Snake, you shared your devastation and grief after Al passed. Your book is raw, poignant, and deep. And I just couldn't get enough of it. I also mailed out a copy of your book to my friend Barbara, who just lost her life partner of 15 years. And I think every woman should read this book, no matter what stage of life they are in. Karen, would you share your experience of grief and how you eventually moved forward with therapy and dance and also community? You have when you were in New York, you had a huge community of people that loved you and cared about you and who you in return loved back.
Thank you very much for that warm welcome and for that marvelous introduction. Yes, you're taking me back through both of these books. So when Al passed away, knowing about the first book is really important because that's what the grief contained. It contained the home that we made together, not just the building with the stuff that we gathered together, but a home that we created, a weave that we created together, a place where we could land no matter what we had that was called home. So when he passed away, people say, what's it like when someone, a big person in your life dies? I had been through one of those big ones before with my father. He died too young. So I had a smattering of what that was like. When the big one happens to you, your life changes. There's a before and there's an after. And the word that I came up with was shipwreck. People feel like they were in an accident. That's somewhat the way it feels. But shipwreck was right for me because not only was there the collision, but the sinking and the feeling of drowning and not knowing where you were and if you're going to survive it. So in this book, in Dancing with Snake, I talked about that alternative reality that people pass through. And also because I was working, I had this everyday reality. So they were bouncing back and forth, balancing each other. So I had to navigate the craziness and the feeling that it would never ever go away, this horrible, painful feeling of loss and confusion People go through this because so many things happen in the outer world too. You have to file papers, you have to talk to people, you have to do all these things that are very stressful when you feel like you can't handle the stress. So there's that, the shipwreck. And then you gave a resume for me, which was quite marvelous. But there's also the heart resume. And when I was grieving, I was up against myself. It was like being in therapy that never stopped. It just felt like it would never get right. And so I had to pull up my heart resume. And in that are all the things that you never say to people, but you've gone through and have built within yourself. So I really hope that people consult their hearts if they have to go through something like that. And that's what happened with me. And you asked, how did I get to dance and therapy? Well, even though I couldn't directly face some things, my soul that wanted me to survive and thrive constantly was telling me what to do. Sometimes I couldn't hear it, but I could see it sometimes in images and things that I would see in nature. And what kept coming up was this snake. And the snake is an image for health and rejuvenation and for creativity. And a lot of people connect it to the second chakra, which is some people call the sex chakra, but it's much more than the sex chakra, it's the creative chakra. So this snake kept coming to me over and over again. And almost in spite of myself, I ended up calling Sandra Catena before I knew who she was, because I decided that I really had to belly dance. The way that I could come alive again was through movement and dance and music. So I picked up the phone and I dialed this number, and this lovely person answered the phone and welcomed me, just as she did today, and said, yes, you've got to come and dance in our class. And every single excuse that I had for not going, she just flipped away. I said, well, I'm too old. I think I was 62 at the time. She said, oh, no, no, no. I have an 80-year-old in my class. Don't worry about that. Oh, and I had all these reasons why I could not face my future. And she pushed them all away. And of course, that inner voice in me, that place that wants to create and be whole, won the day. And so I went to Sandra's class, and sure enough, that heart resume was answered, because she's right. I had danced before, I had been in karate classes and taught karate classes, and through the theater, I had all kinds of movement classes. So it was the perfect fit. And the music started to heal me and open me up. And after a very short time, I was dancing and back in life again. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart, Sandra. And she is one of the stars of this book. And she really helped me get back to my life. Yes.
Karen, when you started training with me, you were tougher than all those kids, because if you remember, we had like 18-year-olds to women in their 70s. And it was the young kids that say, oh, squats, oh, prone holds, oh, ab work. You got on the floor. You did every last functional training exercise. You never complained, and you did it better than everyone. You are fierce. You are a warrior. And that's your background too. Karate, taekwondo, dance.
That's exactly right.
And without that training, you're not going to be a good fighter. You're not going to be a good dancer. And you are everything, because you got on the floor and you did it all. And you did it well. You're strong, honey.
Why, thank you.
When you
Thank you
moved to
very much for that.
California, it's true, Karen. When you moved to California, we were talking on the phone, and you said, oh, Sandra, I'm following, because in my book, Create a Functional Body, Train Like a Dancer, I had a whole program. And you said, oh gosh, do I have to do those? Is there an easier way to do push-ups? I said, of course there is. Wall push-ups. And you did them.
By then, I was having trouble with my hips. Yeah.
But they were
Yeah.
just as beneficial. And you always went the distance. And that's exactly who you are and why you obtained all of your success,
Mhm.
all the love, because you went there.
Thank you, Sandra.
I always
Thank you for
did.
seeing it that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Because, even though you can do something doesn't mean that you're not without doubt. And
Correct.
you helped me with that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We help each other
Oh,
that way.
I loved dancing with you. I miss you terribly. We just had such a fulfilling classes.
Yes. And the other thing about all of this is the two places I go to when I'm in trouble. And I hope that it can be humor, but sometimes you're just so low that humor doesn't do it. But curiosity has helped me too. So that's how I would enter the dance, with humor.
Right.
Oh, what if I make a mess of it today? Okay, so what?
Yeah.
We'll have some fun with it. And then with the curiosity about, well, just what's this going to lead to? Where are we going? How is this going to bloom? You know, those are my
Oh
two go-to
yeah.
places.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
Karen, I want to pivot to another theme here. I too have your book. I also loved it. And one of my favorite parts of the book was something you already brought up, this sensuality. Here you're
Mm.
about 62 years old, you've just lost the love of your life, but you're not going to lie down and die. You're getting through this and you're discovering yourself again. And I just love that
Hmm.
and how we're talking about taboos here. A woman of a certain age, she shouldn't do certain things. She shouldn't be belly dancing. That's for a young girl, right? But you went head
Yes.
on with those taboos. So I want to pivot to something the three of us spoke about last month in our conversation. We talked about aging. And
Mm.
you shared your fascination with America's struggle with the aging female body image. So, would you
Hmm.
elaborate a little bit on this subject for us?
Oh, sure. It's something that I struggle with and that I'm really curious about and want to apply a lot of humor to. The United States is a funny place. It's a very young country and they worship youth. So, in doing so, they're cutting out a lot of the experience that they have of older people and the collective understanding that they have. And it's a tremendous loss. And there's also, you talk about sensuality, something that Al taught me. He said, it's not all about central casting, it's about the light inside people, the beauty inside people. And some of the oldest people that you can imagine, sometimes we see a picture of an old person and we just take our breath away. They're so beautiful.
Yes.
And we have to allow for that person to be whole. Just because
Mhm.
they're old doesn't mean they're dead.
Mhm.
you know? So in my book, there is a period when I talk about that. There's a conversation that I have with myself where I say, no, I can't dance. I can't bear this music. I'm too old. It's people will laugh at me. It's too grim. It's too ugly. But the voice comes up again, and says, come on, let's see what will happen if you do it. And in the United States, it's stupid, but you have to have courage to do it when you shouldn't. If you're in
Yes.
Europe like you are, and I was very recently, there's
Mhm.
such an ease with older people. It's
Yeah.
expected, I guess, because the countries are older and they have lived
Mhm.
through so many difficult periods in history that they understand and value a history. And a person is an historical document.
Yeah.
They have been through whatever they've been through, and they can share that with the community. Yeah, the United
Yeah.
States has it all wrong.
They do. Tony, I'm glad you brought that up about age and belly dancing. When I was performing in nightclubs, when I first started performing, I was 21. I was a kid, 21. And I would perform in all these Arab clubs, North African clubs, Greek clubs, excuse me. And when a family would come in, it's like the mom, dad, the kids, the grandparents, and sometimes the great grandparents. Those women, 60s, 70s, 80s, and up, they were dancing better than the kids because they've been doing this their whole lives. And dance was part of their culture. It wasn't something, oh, let's hire a belly dancer for the wedding. No, everyone danced. And all of those mature women were breathtaking beauties. They moved like the river, and I couldn't take my eyes off them. And dancing
Mm-hmm.
is natural. As we age, we continue to live our life, and dancing is an integral part of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And
And
they've lived the music of their lives. So it's there. It's in their
Yeah.
bodies. Yeah.
and to stay on this
Mm-hmm.
theme, I think it's important, especially for us. We explore all these issues related to women, Karen, and we're so excited to have a feminist here with us to
Oh, yeah.
share your insight. In your opinion, how does the patriarchy and the beauty business benefit from the female body criticism?
Well, first, people throw around the term patriarchy. So just for me to be clear about it, patriarchy is a way of organizing society around the father figure, and that figure has supreme authority. So we've lived with it so long that people don't really think of it that way, although they should. So,
Mhm.
and it goes further than that. I think you were talking about it in one of your earlier podcasts too, that then in the patriarchy, it's the males who are favored. So they usually are the descendants and the ones that receive the financial inheritance of these men who are in power and have supreme authority. And then the children are really, this is my word, owned by the father system. So you have to say, if women cannot have the wealth that the men have, even that their brothers or uncles have, then what kind of currency do they have?
Mhm.
And in the United States, it's a couple of things. One is their compassion and ability to serve uh, the family, to nurture, to help people. And the other is beauty. So in the beauty business, it serves them wholly to pit women against each other so that they won't ask the question of who's in power, and so that they will be afraid to break through to that question. So if we're all fighting to see who's the most beautiful and where they get their beauty products and who has the best beauty products, we will be good servants. And it's delicious. That's part of the problem that I see. A couple of years ago, I went to visit my granddaughter that I inherited from Al, and she's beautiful, beautiful woman. And at the time, she was 16, and she was a cheerleader, but she was in one of those cheerleader groups that did phenomenal physical work. I mean, they were gymnasts, and they were doing um, all these incredible, I don't know, tricks, I'd call them, but that's not what they are. They would do these things together. But beyond that, they had to look a certain way. So I was in her bathroom and my jaw just dropped. I, I said, I can't, I couldn't afford the things that were on the shelf in her bathroom. Things for her skin, things for her hair, uh, things, clips and squishies and all this stuff that she would use to decorate herself. Now, this is a disclaimer. I have nothing against people decorating themselves. I think from time immemorial, people have decorated themselves and they will continue to. And I have nothing against people taking care of their skin and their hair and their bodies and being healthy. But this was an array that just knocked my socks off. It cost a fortune. And I believe that people can take care of themselves and be beautiful without having to buy these super expensive products, and she was being forced into it by her peers. Then I read a beautiful story about a young girl who was being hazed on her social media, and she wanted to commit suicide. And then I remembered what it was like being a teenager and how insecure you are and how the hormones are shooting every which way and how much you want to fit in. And there also is a type of person who simply wants to fit in. And then there are the people who want to stand out and will do anything to stand out. So in this mix, I have to go back to my original statement, which is why, for what purpose, whom does it benefit to have women addicted to the beauty business? And I can only say it's the producers of these products who then are part of the male dominance. And I think it hurts women all the way through.
Yeah.
They can't, if you can do that and maintain your integrity and your dignity and your sovereignty, you're a very unusual person. But that's basically what this world is asking us to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Karen, for bringing that up. I reflect on my role as a mother and how I can model
Oh,
good behavior for my daughter, right? And how I can teach her from a young age. It has to be before the adolescent years. They're trying to distract us. Let's be clear on what we want out of life and what we need to do to get there. And she's 8, and I talk to her about these things. And you give us a
uh-huh.
wonderful reminder how we can't be distracted by the patriarchy, by these companies who are
Yeah.
mostly owned by men. Men make more money still than women. I don't know if it's still we make 70 cents to the dollar. Things haven't changed much in
Yeah.
the last 50 years,
50
unfortunately.
years. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's gone up a few cents, but still, when you look at the numbers, it's really troubling. And women need to band together rather than compete, right? Like we
Mhm.
often are taught, we're in competition for the attention, for the guy, for the beauty
Mm-hmm.
contest. But that again, if we were to band together, how powerful we could be and the things we could achieve. And I'm hopeful that the mothers and the grandmothers out there and the aunts that we can convey this to the
Mm-hmm.
next generation. So thank you so
Yes.
Yeah.
much. It's great. Now,
You're welcome. There was one element I left out, which is the whole plastic surgery, cosmetic surgery element of this and how dangerous I think it is. Yeah, it's become a kind of an addiction for lots of people. You
Mhm.
do a little bit here and then you want more and then you want more, and suddenly you really look like somebody else and
Mhm.
so forth. I mean, we could go on with that for a long time, but I'll let it
Yeah.
sit there.
but it's getting worse, Karen, because it
And
used to be
Al's,
middle age, and now it's prevention in your 30s, or even I've
Mhm.
people in their 20s doing it. So it's getting worse, and it's an important message.
teenagers. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's this message out there of, oh, but 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 you'd look a little bit better. I saw actually I went in for dermatology just to have somebody look at a discoloration, and it was, like holding my chin and saying, "Oh yeah, but you could look better if you did this." It's a
Mhm.
male doctor looking at me, like a 35-year-old doctor, and it's it's very confusing and enticing and wrong. That's to
May I
say,
make it?
again, a
Yeah.
disclaimer. Yes.
Yeah. May I make a confession? I told Tony about this. Um, I had I had a Zoom meeting with a plastic surgeon, and this beautiful blonde, physically fit woman was his assistant. And she was like, "Oh, Sandra, we're so happy to have you here." And she was a professional dancer. So we automatically clicked on that. And
Mhm.
it was as though we were best friends. And she was so good. I thought, I need somebody like this to work for me. And then the doctor came on. He was extremely attractive, very well coiffed. He had a
Mhm.
beautiful, very expensive suit on, and he was intelligent and spoke not in a deprecating way, in a very uplifting way. The bottom line is, apparently, I'm such a car wreck that I need a full neck lift, a mini facelift, and a lower and upper blepharoplasty. And and for 59,000. And I started thinking, well, I had major surgery after I had an accident, and that surgery was over 6 hours, and it was a hard recovery just from the anesthesia. And this surgery would take 6 hours. And the doctor said, oh, you'll be fine. You're going to feel great. You'll be able to go out in a week. And I have friends that had blepharoplasties, and they were bruised up for 10 days, and it was not pain
Mhm.
free. And after I had the meeting with him, went back to that beautiful blonde assistant, and she was like, okay now, and she just went into the, if you sign up today, it'll be 5,000 less, but if you wait, and if you do one at a time, you do the neck and then the face and then the eyes, and it price kept going up. And she told me that she was getting a mini facelift. I said, you're a beautiful young 35-year-old woman. Why? You're perfect. You don't need it. And she said, oh, I'm doing it for preventative reasons. So
What?
plastic surgery, I know, it's crazy, right? So plastic surgery is no longer
Mhm.
for a movie star or a celebrity or the rich. Everybody's getting it, like you said. And I even thought, gosh, maybe I should talk to somebody. And then I kind of grabbed a hold of myself after and thought, this is such nonsense. I'm 67. I'm not
Yeah.
27 or 57. Yeah, I'm 67. And there was this
Right.
young guy that worked in my building. He worked in security. And I let my hair grow out. I'm salt and pepper now, Karen. My black hair is now
That's beautiful.
that. Thank you. And, uh, I'm getting a lot of comments like, wow, your silver's great. Or, oh God, you need to dye your hair. You look old. People will just come out with this stuff. And this 25-year-old man said, Sandra, what's wrong with looking older? And it was out of the mouth of babes. A 25-year-old man said that to me. And this obsession with plastic surgery and fillers and Botox and nips and tucks and, oh, have a little surgery at lunch and go out to dinner with your friends. That's another one that they're saying now. And it's screwing with our heads.
It is. That's not to say that plastic surgery isn't an incredibly wonderful thing. And here you are. You had an accident. Kids are
Yes.
born with terrible defects. This is
Yeah.
really an important achievement in the history of surgery, but that's not
Yes.
what we're talking about here.
No.
Yeah. And I also believe that if it's going to save your life in terms of making money or something like that,
Mhm.
God, you have my blessing. You have my blessing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, Karen, I understand you have a poem to share with us. Would you share your
I
lovely
do.
poem?
And I think it's absolutely the perfect time for it. My poem is called Ungrazed. And I have a footnote about the title. So I have to give you the footnote before you would read it if you were reading it. The footnote says, to graze, a term heard frequently in Westerns, to scrape the skin from, a braid. The bullet just grazed his shoulder. So that's
Hmm.
from my Random House dictionary. Ungrazed. Last night, two people said I looked beautiful. You haven't aged a bit. Yet this morning, the sunshine angling through the skylight, I could play the hag in Stephen King's Next. Is this all about light? She doesn't have to look that way. Have it removed.
Hmm.
Before and after. Is this really about time? I don't want to play the hag in Stephen King's Next. Must I appear ungrazed by my warrior wins, by my fool falls and fails? I claim my stripes in wrinkles. The lady in the beauty store winces. Why can't you iron your face, for God's sakes? Her grimace says she does. Ungrazed.
Hmm.
The mask of the blithe, forever the same, not aged a bit. Did my radiant grandma dream of facelifts? Or standing at the stove, stirring her potato leek soup, blending time and light, boast, 90 is the new 80, ungrazed, unfazed.
Bravo.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful.
Oh, gorgeous.
Enjoy.
Gorgeous. Oh, that was wonderful,
Just
Karen.
tied in
There you are.
with our discussion so perfectly. And for me, it was just like, wake
I
up.
can't believe it.
Just, I loved it. Thank you.
Oh,
So glad.
absolutely
Hmm.
beautiful, Karen. Karen, how can we purchase your books?
Ah, well, you
Yeah.
can buy it really any place where you can buy books. Right now, I prefer it if you don't use Amazon, but
Okay.
if you can, you can get it there. But bookbaby.com is where I have it distributed. Bookbaby.com, and I think it's store. So that's where they're both there. And that's an easy way to get it online. Some bookstores will carry it, but most of it's being done online now.
I
Thank you very
encourage
much for this
everyone.
opportunity to share my
Oh,
books and
Karen,
you.
I encourage everyone to buy both books, actually. First of all, they're both fast reading and they're just so good. The first book was just a ride, your relationship ride. And the second book,
Mm-hmm.
look at that. Mimi Seaton did the illustrations. She is fantastic. The book is so
Mm-hmm.
heavy and raw. I just couldn't stop reading it. And I read it 3 times, and it's
Thank you.
fresh every time, and I get something out of it each time I read it. So I just want to encourage everyone to buy the book, support Karen as an author. You will love it.
Thank you both so very, very much. It's been wonderful to spend time with you.
Likewise, we both appreciate you giving us your precious time. Thank you so much,
Thank you so
Karen.
much, Karen. And thank you, everyone, for watching. Until next time.
Until next time, ciao.